I steered away from them because I
Did
blame
you?
Dirk for spoilers.
This week's episode of Comically Gaming is brought to you by our buddies over at Mutiny Info Cafe, where they not only have a great selection of used books, records, and great coffee, but they also have a fantastic selection of new and used comic books, graphic novels, manga, posters, Gundam robot models, and more. Mutiny Information Cafe in Denver at the corner of Broadway and Ellsworth, and online at mutinyinfocafe.com.
Nice. I just got to throw in this week. A couple weeks ago, I collect old scooters, as I've talked about on here before. The big scooter rally in Denver, Mutiny hosted a couple things for it, and just can't say enough about Mutiny, man. Such a cool place. More than just comics, it's a bookstore. They do podcasts live there. They have authors come speak. They sell records. Totally cool place. If you're ever in Denver, go check out Mutiny for sure. Coffee.
Sure.
Coffee shop built in there too. Some damn good coffee.
Yep.
So, Comically Gaming, episode 65. Welcome, everybody.
What's up?
What up?
How was our week? Corey, you want to kick it off?
Sure. Pretty good. Let's see. Watched The Preacher. It was excellent. You're still not caught up?
No, I'm not. It's the one thing I'm
Dude,
behind. I'm
slack,
caught up
man.
on all my reading, but not The Preacher yet.
Yeah. It's continues to be really awesome. I read The Walking Dead, 170. Read Murder Ballads, which you got Gabe coming up, the author, later in the show. And basically, other than that, just been playing Final Fantasy 15. Unlike last week where I was playing those short games, I'm into a long game. Almost done with it, I think. I'm on chapter 10. You said there's 13. So I'm getting there. I definitely feels like I'm near the end. About 30 hours in. So
we'll save the Final Fantasy comments for next week's show. We're going to go deep on it. But yeah, I'm dying to spend more time with it myself. I know, Jeff, you've been rocking it, yeah?
I've been rocking the shit out of it.
Nice.
Yeah. That's about it.
All right. Jeff?
I almost sounds like my week was like Corey's week. I played the shit out of some Final Fantasy. I read Murder Ballads. And I think I spent the entire weekend playing Final Fantasy.
Nice.
From sun up to sundown.
Nice.
So,
well, and for myself, read Murder Ballads, caught up on Secret Empire. So you guys did Secret Empire number 7 last week. I read 7 and 8. 8's out now too.
I haven't read 8 yet.
A week or two afterwards. Crazy stuff going on there for sure. Walking Dead, and then Jessica Jones number 11. Anybody read that?
No.
Man, it's
Yeah.
read it. So
Final
good.
Fantasy.
Yeah, so good. They're back out of the Secret Empire crossovers and back into the mainline story, and I love it. It's my favorite thing Marvel does for sure with the Bullet right now. Yeah, so good. As far as video games, finally got back to Persona 5. Been rocking it. I do want to have a spoilery discussion about it because, man,
What, 2 years from now?
Well, even just from we discussed in the past, and again, I don't want to get into spoilers about it, but without going into spoilers about it, the content that is in this game is unbelievable to me that they get away with it. I don't know that from the first section to the second section, the stuff that's going on with these high school kids is very dicey. Let's just say, and something that if it came out of an American studio nowadays, I mean, I would be subject to a lot of critique. You know, it's shocking to me that the way that they talk about, I don't know, for lack of a better word, sex with these high school kids.
But if you
Yeah.
slapped an ESRB rating on it, then you could just claim First Amendment.
Yeah, of course. It's just, it gets back to what we talk about a lot is just the whole way that Japan approaches gender roles and sex. Like I say,
Yeah.
it's so much different than here,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, and I struggle with it a little bit, to be honest, you know, as a parent and whatnot. I don't have any daughters, thank God. But
It's a different world over there.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. So yeah, but that being said, it's also just crazy to me that with all the, I don't know, somewhat uncomfortableness that I feel with the content, that it's the greatest shit out there. It's it's what high school is like,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And the fact that they're able to kind of escape the politically correct shackles and approach it the way they do is you know, amazing. I don't know. It's very
Yeah.
weird. Very
I'm trying
weird.
to think of what the second part was.
I just say it's about artists in a particular spot that An is put into
Oh, yeah.
because of it, right?
Yeah.
Right. So I'll leave it at that. The and then the other thing is that we played our Sunday night game this week was Borderlands, the pre-sequel.
Mm.
So another old ass game that we're finally getting around to.
Yeah.
And man, it's so awesome. I love Borderlands to death.
Yeah, I like the
Playing
look
on
of
the
it.
PlayStation Pro, it's like a whole new game.
Yeah, whatever. Whatever.
But
But yeah, just the story and now and all those characters and the depth that we have on them now, and then seeing them before the events of Borderlands 2 and the Tales
yeah.
game.
Yeah. Awesome.
You know, so cool. Revisiting some of those characters that are gone now
Right.
and whatnot, and you see them and like, oh man, just pulls at my heartstrings.
Yeah, it's awesome seeing them. And from what I hear, it has a terrible story overall, but it is cool seeing the characters.
So far, I find that not to be the case. I'm loving the story, and you know what? We're 2.5, 3 hours into it or whatever, but
yeah,
it's cool. I think.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. So that was it. That's the week so far. This week, the roll into Star Wars news. So this week, not a ton of news. What really came out this week, and again, we're going to tread away from spoilers, but the Entertainment Weekly came out that, first of all, has got some awesome covers. One is Luke and one is Rey, and both of them in big print across them says "The Last Jedi?"
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, so that's pretty cool. And then besides that, when you go into it, the photo shoot and whatnot that they go through is incredible. I just looking at the 7 different images. Again, they're slightly spoilery, to a minuscule degree, but we won't talk about them. But if you're a Star Wars fan who is looking for more to get jacked up about The Last Jedi, go find it online because they're awesome for sure.
I steered away from them because I blame Dirk for spoilers.
Sure.
It was Dirk's fault.
Did you see him?
Yeah. Well, I'm looking at him right now. I saw him earlier, but yeah.
Don't
like Chewie's little buddy.
No peer pressure. Because I thought Chewie's little buddy was just a Disney joke, and don't bring it to fruition. If it goes Jar Jar, I'm not watching it.
Bring a Jar Jar back. Here we go. Spoilers.
Yeah, it is.
Don't spoil Jar Jar's involvement in The Last Jedi. Nice. All right. Well, that's it for Star Wars this week. We'll move along into the video game news of the week. So I got quite a bit of things that actually came through. So the number one is that it turns out that esports is being considered for the upcoming Olympics.
I saw that.
Really?
What's our thoughts on this?
Dude. I don't see how, because the Olympic Committee, they are so adamant about being just a amateur status to compete in the Olympics. And if you're going to allow esports, then why don't they allow any type of racing like NASCAR or Formula One or anything like that? Because the athletes all, have to physically exert themselves, and I think a race car driver exerts himself more than me sitting down on the couch. Yeah, it's like, what are they going to sit there and have to do the Connect or the Wii? Is that what they're going to?
Yeah, clearly that's not it. I mean, the whole crux of it is that young people don't watch the Olympics.
Oh.
And so that's what they're trying to get people in with.
Yeah, I can see that. I wouldn't consider esport an Olympic sport, though. That's it's more about physical sports, and I think with esports, I don't really think there's. I guess it depends what you define a sport as. Like,
it's a competitive act.
Yeah, I guess it is that.
I feel
like more like game tournaments or something. When I think of sports, I just think of physical activity.
Yeah.
Right.
But and that's what I think of when I think of the Olympics.
Sure.
But
almost would maybe have a spot in the X Games or something.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that would make more sense. But I just don't see it. Whatever. They can do whatever they want to do.
Who's back?
It'll probably just be like Dota and Counter-Strike. I don't like watching that shit anyways. But
I don't do League of Legends. I don't watch.
You gotta watch out. You're going to piss some people off.
Yeah, we are.
I'm just not a fan of watching video games myself. I love video games to death, obviously, but
I don't mind watching.
I know a lot of kids nowadays do,
but who's backing it though? Is it NBC or is it the gaming developers?
Good question. I saw just a couple different articles who didn't dive that deep into it. They just said that it's brought up to the committee right now, and that they are considering it. They didn't just shut it down immediately. So next bit of news I have, a little bit of follow-up on last week, talking about some microtransactions. The follow-up from last week is that apparently the Zelda amiibo does not hide Metroid. The Metroid amiibo does not block the hard mode. Hard mode comes out in the Metroid Samus Returns game after you beat it. Now, there is an extremely hard mode called Fusion mode that is locked behind the amiibo. So, same thing, different name? Yeah. Probably.
Yeah.
Right? So I think all of our previous comments apply. That being said, microtransactions were in the news this week in two different capacities. First of all, Gran Turismo Sport came out and said that they are not going to have any microtransactions, which to me is awesome.
That's cool.
Yeah, the last game that they came out with was super heavy with microtransactions for cars, tracks, courses, stuff like that. And Gran Turismo came out and said they won't do that with this upcoming game. The flip side of it is that it was announced a couple weeks before release that Shadow of War is going to have microtransactions. It's
going to be full of them.
Yeah, going to be full of them, and of the loot crate variety. So not just, I want to buy this sword, so I'm going to pick this sword, but no, if I want this particular sword, I might have to open 50 loot boxes before I get the one that I want.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, the Overwatchification it seems like the industry has kind of struggled with microtransactions and DLC in general over the past 5-10 years, and what's the right way to do it. I do think that some games nail it and some games don't. Hard to be critical of this until we see it and see what it's like, but it seems like if you are in a single player game, so not a multiplayer only game, in a single player game, this is going to be buying things to help you through the game quicker. So to my mind, that's only an issue if the base game, if you decide you're going to spend $60 in the game and you're not going to spend a cent on microtransactions, does it feel like it's padded for you?
Slow moving or hard to get through? Right.
Yeah. I don't know. What do you?
Yeah, that's. I agree. That's where I would have an issue too. If you can just get through it and it's not a struggle and you don't feel like you need those perks to get through it, and they just make you feel more beastie. then that's fine, I guess. But yeah, if, like you said, if it feels padded or whatever, then I'm against it. So, I don't know.
What do you think, Jeff?
I think that, if you're going to add microtransactions, especially for multiplayer games, don't have it be $60.
Sure.
If you're trying to supplement the cost and not pay the monthly subscriptions, don't charge us $60 for a game and then have to shell out another $300 for this great hat that gives you plus 10 to intelligence or whatever. That's why I do like the one thing that Blizzard did, because Blizzard's really heavy on microtransactions for all their games across the board, is in Overwatch, any type of loot crate where you can buy loot crates or you earn them, all it does is cosmetics. It doesn't affect gameplay. It's all, at that point, about the skill of the player. And it's all online. So I don't think that I don't know. I don't like microtransactions.
What about Shadow of Mordor? It's a single player game.
That's
not online.
Yeah, I think it's gonna fall short because I'm not gonna buy it. I love the series, but if that's the case, where it's gonna be the point where I can't get through this one thing because I didn't pay money just to get past a point, then I think that a lot of people are gonna.
It definitely turned me off.
Yeah, and then how is this gonna stop? Is this to stop like people hacking the game or what? I don't get it.
I don't think I think it's just to make more money.
Just make more money?
These games cost millions and millions of dollars to make, and they're just looking for extra ways to get money back. I feel like when you talk about a single player game, again, this kind of turned me off to the point where I'm going to wait for reviews to come out and see if people say it sounds grindy or if you can feel that effect or not. Like, I feel like DLC, like, for example, I know if you watch us, we talk about this game too much, but The Witcher 3 had paid DLC. It was also a fucking 100-hour awesome experience without any of that at all. You know what I mean? Like, I felt like I wanted to give them money, and even if I didn't have time to play that DLC, because it was such a great experience. And
I just wanted to donate $20 to CD Projekt Red for making such a great game.
Yeah, right. And so, it just depends on what it comes out like. But I am going to wait and see what people are saying, for sure.
I guess if it's a great game where I want to play more of this, I'll buy it. But I think that game developers have gotten to the point now, because of DLC online updates and patching, they're not going back to the basics of creating a great game that's bug free, and then releasing it like they used to have to do. Now they can just give us a pile of shit and then we'll fix it down the road. It kind of reminds me of when No Man's Sky first came out.
Okay, so great job.
Segue, yeah.
No Man's Sky. Next bit of news here. So they just launched a big update. Has a lot of kind of small improvements, but one of them is that graphically.
The thing is, No Man's Sky this is all free.
Yeah, right.
So.
For sure, that is a big difference there, for sure. No Man's Sky is kind of a beast unto its own for how it came out and what happened with it.
Yeah.
But the two big things with this update, one is the graphical improvements. Have you guys seen any pictures of it or played it since it came out?
No.
Final
Fantasy.
It looks a lot better. It's crazy how much better it looks. And then the other thing is that, so they call it limited co-op, and now you can
your orb.
Right, so you run across other players, but they're just like a dot. They're an orb that you can see them all the way from space, flying in and then coming next to you and whatnot. I don't know, from what I understand, there's some voice chat when somebody's close to you. But again, you just see a glowing orb. You don't see an actual person. Me and Corey have talked about this several times. If that game if this is a stepping stone to what we want, then they're going to turn that into full-blown character models. And if we can all play together, pick a home planet, make our bases on it,
rule the planet,
mine resources together, and
exactly.
fight stuff together, and
then I'm back.
Then if we could have a PvP zone where you fight other planets.
Yes. God, that would be awesome.
That would be awesome.
Right. So hopefully it's going that way. As of right now, this update does nothing for me. I'm not going to get back into it to go see your orbs.
The only
Yeah.
problem with that endeavor is I think that for them to get to that point, they would probably have to start charging some sort of monetary subscription for it, because now you're looking at phasing instances of two different people on a server,
Right.
if not on the same server, and that's where money starts to become a problem.
The only kind of flip side to
Or they
that
could do
that I have-
microtransactions.
Well, right.
Pay to
But
visit Nate.
it,
Cheaper than an airplane ticket.
that game was kind of like an indie game that when we all heard about it to start with, we were like, okay, this is too good to be true. These ambitions are too big. And then when it came out, it proved that, okay, it's not what kind of they promised it was going to be, which caused all the uproar. But the whole thing is that I feel like they didn't spend a lot of money making that game, and they sold millions and millions of copies. So I think they're trying to make good at this point, because they could probably stick 10 million in the bank and still have 30 million left over to try and make improvements and get people back on board before they start their next project or whatever. But
Yeah.
even if they came out and said it $20 update for true co-op, I
Yeah.
might consider it.
Yeah.
To me, that world is more fun than like Elder Scrolls or something like that.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
All right. So next thing, I just wanted to talk about. I listened to gaming podcasts all week long. Everybody's talking about Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice. Have you guys heard any of this?
I've heard a little bit about it. I've seen it. A couple people on Twitter that I follow. This one chick, Pure Ruby, she's been playing it, and but I was stuck in Final Fantasy, so I didn't really.
Right. Corey, you see any videos or anything?
No, I haven't heard about it.
So it's a 6 to 8 hour long game. It has incredible graphics. The protagonist's face and facial animations are the most real I've maybe ever seen, to be honest. It approaches, so she's in basically Norse hell, and she also has she suffers from mental illness. So I guess they tread very tactfully around mental illness and in breaching kind of those topics. That being said, one of the biggest thing that seems to affect gameplay is I've watched a few videos, and she's got voices in her head. And so the whole time, everything that you're doing, there's all these little whispers of what are you doing? Why are you going over there? Look out behind you. There's this thing over there. You're going to die.
Oh, geez. That
And
drives me
it's
nuts.
different voices doing it the whole time and whatnot, and it's supposed to be real intense experience or whatnot. But
That'd be badass in headphones, I think.
yeah, right. They say, from what I understand, when the game starts, it recommends that you put headphones on to play it. Yeah, so really, it sounds great. The videos look great. Shit, I just don't have time right now, but it's definitely going on my list of games that I don't have time for that I want to check out. It's going to be up there with Nier Automata and, these other experiences that I missed this year.
It's out now?
Yeah, came out
Yeah,
this
it just
week.
came out.
Hellblade?
Yeah.
Hellblade.
Sasuna's Sacrifice, or
Senua's?
Senua, yeah.
Yep, absolutely.
The graphics do look pretty pimp, so on the Pro Edition, Corey will probably be like, I'm never leaving my house again.
Yeah. Exactly.
All right, Jeff, you added a
So
couple
let's,
things here.
I came across it. Destiny 2 and Pop-Tarts have teamed up, and it looks like you buy a box of Pop-Tarts, and you can get a 4-hour 25% bonus XP playing Destiny. The caveat, though, is Bungie thinks they're getting smarter on this, and they say in order to redeem it, you have to sign up online to get the code and submit a picture of the receipt showing all four corners.
Wow.
Really?
Wow.
So they're trying to make it more so people aren't, like they did with, I think it was Red Bull.
Bull.
Yep.
And yeah. So, but the problem is if you go, the questions are, you go to a store, the receipts are like this freaking long now. So you have to take
Yeah.
like an aerial shot with a satellite to get the picture. And then what happens if you buy like 4 boxes of Pop-Tarts on the same receipt, are they going to count 4?
Right.
Or is it all one? So that, and then I think Monster Energy is also teaming up for some loot crates and some special gear for drinking Monster Energy and wigging out. And then the other thing I notice is
I don't like Pop-Tarts.
they're good cold. And then EA launch is going to debut.
Hold on. Before you go on, Jeff, I got to talk about Destiny
Okay,
Pop-Tarts.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So,
go talk Destiny Pop.
I feel like, man, I'm so stupid. Like, that's worse than loot crates and Shadow War, to my mind.
Yeah.
What you just said, in the process of taking a picture of a receipt and stuff, you know what I mean? It's stupid. Now, that being said, I bet you I'll buy a box of Pop-Tarts.
Well, and you have until March 2018 to submit it.
Oh, God, I'll do it. I'm telling you, I'm an idiot for Destiny. I totally am.
Thinking about this, I'm like, why can't, instead of putting it on the actual box of Pop-Tarts, put it like the prize in a cereal box where you had to dig to the, because, they're going to have to buy it, and then they'll have either cereal all over the house or they'll eat it, which is good for playing Destiny because you can just shovel it in. But I don't know. But I a lot of games now are using those corporate sponsors to help fund the game development.
Right.
When we talk about Final Fantasy 7, I will talk about that.
Corey?
Final Fantasy 15?
15, sorry.
The noodles?
Yeah, noodles, Coleman.
Cup of noodles, buddy. Corey, what do you think about this? About
Pop-Tarts?
Besides, you don't like Pop-Tarts. What do you, the process?
I hate Mario. He hates Pop-Tarts.
XP in Destiny is so fucking quick with the light levels, and to get to level 40 or whatever it's gonna be is like a piece of cake. So you don't really need that XP boost, anyways. Just
I might.
If I happen to get some Pop-Tarts, I might throw the code in, but
I take a picture.
But XP's nothing in Destiny. It's not about XP, so it doesn't. Whatever.
Right. That's like the first 5 hours of the game.
Yeah.
Right.
I think they're trying to gear towards the casual gamer.
Yeah.
Right.
Doesn't like the group that basement dweller lone wolf. Dirk.
All right, go on, Jeff. Sorry to interrupt you.
That's okay. No, I forgot to
Pop-Tarts.
give you a turn. I forgot to give you a turn about Destiny Pop-Tarts. I think I'll create a character called Destiny Pop-Tarts now. That's awesome. The other little thing is at Gamescom are going to have a new trailer for the Starfighter Assault for Battlefront 2. Make sure you get the right battle in there. And it's pretty cool because they're going to add, looks like you can fly Poe's X-Wing fighter from Force Awakens, older starships Anakin flew from Episode 3, and just more of the heroic ships. Sort of like Battlefront 1 where you could get Slave 1 or you could try and get the Millennium Falcon. But
these are pure space battles where there's nothing but ships, right?
Yeah. I like the space battles.
Me too.
That's more my forte than the 40-man large map where you run half the time and die.
Sure.
Right.
Sure. Absolutely. All right, cool. That's what we got for gaming news of the week. We need to come up with titles for these segments.
We do.
We got to get her done. All right.
Well, Dirk said he wanted to work on something like that.
Yeah. But he's got some time. All right. Hold on.
On to the comic news. Not a whole lot this week. Had a couple things involving Kirkman and the Walking Dead. I guess first off, Kirkman and Skybound Entertainment, which is his label, his comic publishing, Skybound, signed to deal with Amazon Prime. So wait, was it Amazon?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah, it is Amazon. So they're their deal with AMC is expiring, and Kirkman and Skybound Entertainment have a deal with signed a new deal with Amazon. So presumably it's not gonna affect The Walking Dead or Fear the Walking Dead. So basically it's kind of like the Millar World thing where it doesn't include their biggest titles, like Kick-Ass, and so basically anything else coming out of Skybound or from Kirkman's gonna be through Amazon Prime now.
So we watch Outcast.
Yeah.
That's on Stars.
Yeah.
Did they say anything about that or no?
No, it just happened. So.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff from Skybound, and apparently everything new from him is coming out on Amazon Prime. Kind
That sucks for me because I don't have Amazon Prime.
Yeah, same here.
So I deal with Netflix.
Yeah, exactly. That's how I felt, because I'm not gonna get Amazon Prime just for that, and I already have Netflix, so
maybe when Christmas comes and I buy all my Christmas presents, I'll sign up.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the problem is you got to remember to cancel your Amazon Prime or you get stuck with it like I did.
Yeah, that's what happened to me with Hulu. But actually, when I canceled Hulu, though, they were like, "Oh, you didn't want it? We'll refund your charges from last week," and they just let me cancel it. They didn't even try and keep me. It was very surprising when I got on the phone with them. I was shocked.
Wow.
But
maybe they're thinking if we don't say anything, you'll come back.
Yeah. Yep, I'm not coming back. So the other thing is Kirkman and the Walking Dead crew, the producers of The Walking Dead, have filed a lawsuit against AMC for not giving them their share of the profits.
Dun dun dun.
The Walking Dead.
Yeah, so apparently, I don't know, they said that the case arises from a major entertainment conglomerate's failure to honor its contractual obligations to the creative people, basically the talent. It says the defendant, AMC, entitles exploited their vertically integrated corporate structure to combine both the production and exhibition of The Walking Dead, which allowed AMC to keep the lion's shares of the series' enormous profits for itself and not share it with the plaintiffs as required by their contracts. So they're screwing over.
So like Marvel screwed over
Kirkman.
Fantastic Four, now Kirkman will make The Walking Dead terrible from here on out so that AMC doesn't get money.
Yeah. So that's apparently why the show has been so much worse than the book. It's all been on purpose. But so yeah, a Walking Dead drama. So other than that, I don't know. Either of you guys watched the new Defenders trailer? Came out yesterday.
No.
So we can't really talk about that then.
As I said earlier,
when do spoilers anyways? What can you say that's not spoilers?
Yeah, true. Not much.
Does it look good?
Looks good. Yeah. Show some more action.
When's that come out? It's like a week or something, huh?
Yeah, soon.
I gotta finish Luke Cage. I finished Luke Cage. I gotta finish Iron Fist.
I need to finish Luke Cage.
Yeah.
I finished Iron Fist. But yeah, that's coming up soon. They just dropped a new trailer. Looks hype. It looks like the other ones. So, yeah. Also on that Netflix Marvel, Jessica Jones. Did you see the photo from the set? Dropped from Entertainment Weekly. Has Kilgrave and Jessica together for
nice.
season 2.
Awesome.
So he's in season 2. No spoilers. But Yeah, he's confirmed for season 2. He's on the set for season 2.
So he made season 1 for me. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
great.
he was awesome.
Had to throw a quick edit in there because Corey went crazy with the spoiler.
Spoilers. So we'll see how he
comes back.
How he comes back
For
for season 2. Yeah. With his powers and whatnot, there could be a lot of ways that he comes back. Maybe in person, maybe in
Do you watch
mind.
these, Jeff?
I haven't gotten to Luke Cage or Iron Fist yet, no.
Okay. But you
Got
watch Jessica Jones.
I've been watching Arrow. So that's what I've been actually watching.
Good. You need to watch Jessica Jones on all of those.
Yeah, it's the best one.
By far.
For sure. So yeah, he was awesome. Jessica Jones was awesome. It's cool that see him on set there. We'll see anybody who watched. Yeah, high hopes for the Defenders. Anybody watched the first season, you know how it ended. So be interesting to see what they do with season 2 and Kilgrave returning. So, and then some kind of tragic Deadpool 2 news. Presumably Domino's stunt woman was killed on set.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't hear that.
Wow.
Died. Well, it wasn't killed, but died on doing a stunt.
Jeez.
So, yeah, a motorcycle stunt. Apparently the motorcycle stunt went bad. She went flying airborne. The motorcycle went through glass window, and she died.
Wow.
So, Rip, stunt woman. Yeah, life of a stuntman.
I guess
You
so.
never know.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Unsung heroes.
Yeah. So, Fox, Ryan Reynolds all released statements saying condolences and whatnot.
What's the cellophane
but,
being crinkled?
No.
It's a cellophane being crinkled. It's good on you to know
That's all I could hear.
Yeah, that happened today. Or yesterday. I think it was just reported today. So a lot of Deadpool news lately. That's not good. Deadpool news. Sucks. And then I guess the last bit of news I had, DC's publishing a new Harley Loves Joker series. I haven't been reading the Harley Quinn books, but everybody loves the animated series that kind of Harley started in. Apparently in the Harley books right now, at the end of the books, they're having this little Harley and Joker thing, and it's going to continue on as its own series, and called Harley Loves Joker. It's coming out #1, and
Is the art
the art's like
that?
It's like the style of the animated series,
Cool.
and it's like a spiritual follower to the series. It looks like it, and it's becoming its own book. So a lot of people are hyped about that because everybody loves Harley and Joker.
Of course.
So yeah, that's really all I got.
All right. So let's move on. We got a very special guest coming up here. Gabe Soria wrote Murder Ballads. Without any further ado, let's go on to that interview. Welcome, everybody. Super special, awesome, crazy, out of the ordinary segment for us. Clearly, we're into comic books. We do a weekly show about them, and for once, we've got an author to a recent book on with us. So, everybody, this is Gabe Soria. Gabe, how you doing?
I'm doing okay. How's everybody out there?
Good.
Great.
Doing great. So I just wanted to, before we grill you here, I just wanted to clearly, you've just released a new book called Murder Ballads.
That is correct.
A project that involves the soundtracks as well. So super cool with that. I just kind of wanted to give you a couple minutes to kind of, I don't know, go through what is Murder Ballads, assuming that our viewers know nothing about it, just a brief 30-second overview and then we'll grill you after that.
Okay. Murder Ballads is an original graphic novel that I wrote over the last couple of years, published by a company called Z2 Comics. They're located in Brooklyn, New York. It is a story about ambition and about how far somebody will go to make the things they want to make in this world and bring them to life, and how that desire can sometimes be derailed by kind of blind ambition. It's kind of like it's a music noir tale. It's set in Shreveport, Louisiana in the late 90s, and it's about a young man who was the owner of a failed record label, and it's about him trying to get his record label back on its feet while at the same time dealing with his dissolving marriage and all these other things he's made a mess of in his life. It also kind of attacks, it talks about kind of, there's a lot of talk about race and music, particularly the kind of sometimes fraught connection between the idea of what black musicians represent to people and the reality of that. And it's also hopefully just a kind of a cracking little crime tale as well. So.
Sure. And where can people find it? How do people go about getting their hands on it?
You can literally find it everywhere. It is. You can find it at your local comic book store. You can find it at your local bookstore. I just saw a picture of it on display at the Strand bookstore in New York. A friend just bought it at Powell's in Portland. It's on Amazon, Barnes and Noble. You can get it shipped to you very easily. So it's out there. It's got great distribution and seems to be doing well so far.
Nice.
So,
awesome.
The publisher is very happy.
You clearly had been posting on Facebook a bunch of great reviews and whatnot as well. That's got to be super cool.
It feels good. I'm hoping I am not becoming kind of tedious to people I know, but it's definitely going to like just kind of it'll wane very quickly, and it's like anybody. You should get some more creators on your show because they will all tell you the same thing. There's that great feeling right before you release a book, especially especially if you don't have something coming out monthly. Sure. Once it's monthly, you're kind of like, all right, well, it's out again. You have a book that you've been working on. Those few weeks, those weeks, months of anticipation before it comes out, are like nerve-wracking. Then that week it's coming out is just fantastic. And then after that, all you can think about is like, God, that's it? That's like, oh, I got to do something else now. And hopefully you have something else kind of in the works behind you. So.
Sure.
So
I got to say, one thing about comics is we go more and more into the digital age. It's cool that, I can still grab it in my hands. I can put it on the shelf. May not be appropriate for my 9-year-old right now, but
not quite.
But a few years from now, when it's time, I still got it. Can still check it out and whatnot. So yeah.
Yeah,
cool.
I'm still not a big digital comics guy. I will read some stuff on a little tablet I have if I'm on a plane or whatever. Because Lord knows it's a bit of a pain in the ass to cart collections around and things like that. But gosh, I just I got Comixology so I could get some issues of Batman 66 I was doing because it was a digital first thing.
Right.
But I'm still just not sold.
I personally prefer paper still, but we get those sales on Comixology, and I had not read Saga. I bought the whole thing for like $15 on sale one time, and I still feel like I'm paying money to the artist instead of stealing it online. And
don't do it. Don't do that.
Right. but it's it's a cool way, like I say, for older stuff and whatnot, for me to catch up, and the sales are what drive me to it.
Yeah, I'm all about the public library myself.
Right.
I buy stuff, but it's actually hard for me in New Orleans to buy a lot of things just because the comic book store I prefer is way on the other side of town. I only have a bike. Right. I go to More Fun. You know where More Fun is. It's like way up on Carrollton. I live in the Bywater, so it can be a bit of a pain in the butt.
For sure. Well, now you can use a boat.
Oh, God. We're dry right now.
Good.
Knock wood.
Good.
Knock wood.
Good.
But besides, but I've actually been thinking. I was talking to a friend of mine a couple days ago about the Dave Cockrum Nightcrawler series, the mini from I guess 1985.
Okay.
I don't know if you remember that one, where he gets transported into this alternate dimension and he becomes basically like a Errol Flynn type swashbuckling pirate.
Wow, that's funny.
And,
I do not know.
And it's one of the greatest comics ever written, but there's no collection of it as far as I know, and apparently it's available on that Marvel Now thing.
Oh,
so,
right.
Yeah,
I bet you. Dirk's probably going to be in the comments saying, "Oh yeah, he read it and he's right there, and he's going to be kicking himself for not making this because Dirk's our historian for sure."
Oh boy, yeah, I could talk about some old shit. But I keep derailing what you keep trying to ask a question and start talking about something.
No problem. No problem at all. No, we're a conversational podcast, so totally could go off the rails. All right, so we'll start it off with I got the first question here and just wanted to talk about the collaboration side of this project. Obviously, that's one of the things that makes Murder Ballads unique. How did you meet the artist musicians? How did you plant this seed? How did that all come together?
Well, okay, yeah, I guess we didn't really talk about this, but Murder Ballads, since it is all about music, it's about a person obsessed with music, it's about musicians in Shreveport, it's about a record producer, so music that is being talked about and being played in the book itself is a very important part of the story. So a few years ago, I was having a lot of trouble just kind of figuring out what to do with this story I've had in my head since around the year 2000. And I was thinking about it walking down the street, and I thought, gee whiz, I should do this as a graphic novel since I write comics. And not only should I do that, but I should have some music in the book, accompanying the book as well. And I texted a friend of mine, a gentleman the name of Dan Auerbach, who is in the band The Black Keys. He's an old friend of mine, and I'd known him for many, many, many years. And I texted him and said, Dan, I have this thing. If I could get it going, would you be willing to do the music that's supposed to be in the book? And he responded with he reminded me recently that he responded with one word. He's like, oh yeah, I think I just said duh. So, but even after that, it took years to get the book to a publisher. A lot of publishers just couldn't wrap their head around what to do with that. Even though right after we started pitching the book, I think they won a nice handful of Grammys for Brothers that year, and they kind of skyrocketed to become one of one of the most popular rock bands on the planet. But even that, it was really hard to get the book sold to a publisher. They just didn't know what to do. Finally, my agent would talk to the Z2 folks, and they said, "Oh yes, well, let's make that work."
Nice.
And then that was a couple years ago, and there was a lot of moving parts to be going on, but we finally got everything together.
Awesome.
Let me tell you, there's a lot of moving parts involved in this book. A lot of people worked really hard to get it in your hands right there. A lot of people worked many hours, had many, many conversations to get that thing done.
Nice.
Myself, at least, I just wrote the damn thing. But,
nice. So, I guess going from that, the question I had was, how does, as far as working with publishers, how does, working with Z2 compare to working with, DC? I mean, I'd assume with Batman 66, you have certain guidelines you have to follow, and as far as, with Z2, basically, you just write your book and try and get them to publish it, or
That's basically almost exactly how it is. DC, there are a lot of things you have to do to get a story done. The first of which is probably the hardest part, which is getting being able to pitch something to an editor, because those editors get inquiries all the time, constantly. It's like, there's a constant buzz around them. To people want to talk to them. People want to get in on it because they want to participate in the whole thing. And I got lucky that the first work I ever did for DC was back in 2003 for did a fill-in issue for Batman Adventures with my buddy Dean Haspiel, and I had met him while working at a comic book website 2001 called SciComic, and we had become real friends. And one day I just happened to mention to him, and we were just sitting at a bar, and I was like, I had this idea for a Batman story, and he talked to an editor at Batman Adventures because he had done some work for them. And since he happened to have the ear of somebody, I was able to kind of get an introduction. But even after that, it was like it was years before I did anything more for DC again. I finally, it was almost 10 years before, I think almost exactly 10 years before I started working for them again. In the intervening years, I did more comics work for other folks, for first, second books. But it's it's hard getting in there. And it's hard staying in there. Z2. But when you write for them, you also have to you have to find out what the sort of things you can pitch. You got to figure out what they're looking for, and when they do that, even if you think it's a fantastic story, there could be a dozen reasons why it won't work for them at that time or ever.
Yeah, or that's not Batman, or as far as such an iconic character, it's got to be.
Exactly. So when you're writing stuff like Batman 66, there's a ton of little things you have to pay attention to, and you work with your editors very closely about oh yeah, this doesn't work. This wouldn't happen. We can't use this. We can use this bit. So there's a lot there in addition to editing a good story.
Yeah.
With a company like Z2, other creator-owned sort of things, they're not going to let you do whatever you want because they are putting out your book, they're editors, but at the same time, you have a lot more leeway because you can sit there and argue about things. No, this is what I want to do. This is my vision for this. So, but there's money involved. There's they're paying for publishing it, and they're not going to do your book in the first place unless they feel like it's something that they want to put out and have their name on it. So, but there's there's an amount of I keep putting my hand in front of my face. There's
fine.
I can see my Legion ring.
Nice.
Nice.
So there's you establish a sort of trust with your publisher like that, and then you talk, and hopefully you are being edited by people whom you respect and whose advice you want to listen to and have a discussion about your work, because you want to be working with somebody who wants to make your stuff better. And so
Awesome.
that's I don't know if I answered the question. I rambled the question.
I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm going to ask some questions on behalf of Dirk, who couldn't be here today. He's killing him. I know that he couldn't be here for this. We've been talking about it for months.
I'm waiting
Sorry,
for the
Dirk.
comments. I'm waiting for the comments later.
Right. Yeah, watch this video, Gabe, and there'll be 100 comments from Dirk in the
With timestamps.
about
He'll
what he wanted
timestamp
to do. So I'm going to do Dirk's questions. He asked, briefly walk us through the process of writing an issue, if you can, and how does the workflow operate? So I know he's interested in doing the same thing. So what's your process like, basically?
Okay, the process for writing a comic book story. Obviously, the first thing you have to do is just you have an idea. You're walking down the street, taking a shower, you have an idea for a story. Let's say we're just doing let's say I'm writing an issue of Batman 66. So I have an idea for a story, and basically I break that down into a paragraph pitch describing what I want to do, and I send that off to my editor. Then I stare at my computer for a few days and wait, and then I email my editor back and say, hey, did you get that thing I sent you? And then they say, this is the amazing Jim Chadwick, who fantastic editor who edited Batman 66. Very busy guy, incredibly busy, but fantastic. So with Jim, I would get an email back saying, "Hey, yeah, like this sounds good. Let's do this." And so from that point, I would expand upon the pitch by sitting down and trying to figure out, like, you know, I get like my page count, like if I'm writing like a 20-page story or if I'm writing a 10-page story. And so I sit there and I start a Microsoft Word document or like have a piece of paper, and I basically write down page 1. And I try to figure out how each page begins and ends, keeping in mind that I'm thinking about a physical product, thinking about a comic book page, where like, even though Batman 66 was a digital first thing, I still am kind of old school where I think that, like, my odd number page is on the right-hand side.
Sure.
So I'm starting there, and what's my first page turn going to be like? And I try to figure out how to fit the story into 20 or 10 pages. Basically, it's like I'm describing each one, each page, what I want to happen on that page. And then I take that and I go back in and I just start writing the book. I start like I'll write page 1 and panel 1.1, and I'll do a description of what's happening in that panel, do the dialogue, and hopefully get down to, like, if I'm doing like only, depending on how many panels I want in the page, depending on how much dialogue I think is going to be on there, I'm going to have, like, I'm planning for my splash pages, I'm planning for just like weird effects I want to see. And I do that, and I do it a few times, basically, because it never works out the first time. It never, ever works out the first time. And sometimes I'm like, oh, God, I don't have enough story in here to tell this whole thing. Or sometimes like, oh, I just tried to fit too much. So there's a lot of personal editing going on there. After that, I hopefully finish up the script on deadline, which is not often the case. And then I pass that on to the editor. In this case, it's the hypothetical Jim. And he will come back to me with like, let's change this a little bit. Let's tweak that. Hopefully he'll praise me for a few things. And then by that time, we'll, depending on if we've talked about who the artist is, like I might have passed the artist the script already as well. Just ask him, what do you think? And the artist sometimes will come back. And let's say it's Dean. Let's say it's like I'm working with Dean on something. Dean would tell me like, oh, Gabe, you got to cut out some of these words. It's too wordy. Like, oh, there's too many panels on this page. Like, and I'll take that into mind under advisement as well. And because, I love writing. Writing is my thing. Comics are a visual medium. So I want to make my artists happy. I want to make the artists feel that like I'm paying attention to them and value their input. To that end, I kind of go back and forth about like how much description I do about what's going on in a panel. 'Cause there are things I have specifically in mind. I have specific angles I want to be shown because there's an effect I need to happen.
Sure.
There's specific specific things I need there, specific expressions, all that stuff. At the same time, I often just write, hey, go crazy with this panel, go crazy with this page, do this like as you see fit because I trust you, and hopefully like you're working with an artist that you trust, and that's always been actually my good fortunes. I always work with artists who are really take the stuff I write and improve upon it.
Sure.
In a comics medium. So what the artist will do normally, like Dean will do thumbnails, and Dean does these beautiful thumbnails where he just like he'll just like basically block out everything going on in the whole comic and like small little kind of mini pages. But he'll do like great marker drawings of stuff where you can just kind of tell like where you can basically it's like you're if it were a film, that would be the storyboard. Because
right.
It's like, oh, this is how we're gonna do the action. It's not the final way, but this is how like it's gonna flow. And Dean sent me thumbnails. I was like, I would just read this comic. It's so fun. It's so fun to see his process. And then after the thumbnails go back to the editor, they get approved, and they start on penciling and inking and lettering, and then colors, and then we do copy edits, and there's always something wrong. There's always something wrong. It's usually my fault.
Do you get say in correction, or is it kind of in the editor's hand at that point?
I will only you mean in artwork wise?
Well, yeah. Once you get the book to that point, the when you can see kind of what the product, how it's coming together, can you go back to the artist or to the editor and say I want stuff different, or is that mainly the editor's job at that point?
It's mainly the editor's job, but I will make suggestions. I try not to make demands.
Sure.
Unless something is just doesn't work. Like anything like this, like any creative process, especially a collaborative creative process, if you're going to tell somebody that what you think they did was not right or just flat out wrong, sorry guys, I'm moving this thing around a lot. If you think what they did was not right or flat out wrong, you got to have a well-reasoned explanation why you think that. And we're all professionals, so I've never really had too much of a problem with correcting anything. It's usually just this just doesn't quite work a little bit here. And you also artists work hard,
right? And
it is a real bummer to try to ask them hey, can you change all this shit?
Sure.
It's so try to get that before they get to that stage.
Right.
I don't want to put any more work on them.
Absolutely.
But yeah, there is some say sometimes things just have to be changed. Sometimes things just have to be corrected.
Right.
And sometimes things can't be corrected, and we just hope you don't notice. So, with that in mind, go read all my comics again and try to find the mistakes.
So getting back to this, this idea with the melding the music to the comics. I mean, how did you get the idea? Because I did some research. I Googled a lot of it, and it always references a lot of country western. I know this is all blues. The music, it was really good music, and so I tried to set myself in the mood by listening to music as I read it a couple of times. But how did you get that idea just to try and meld the two together? That was amazing.
Well, I think what it comes from is the fact that I am a frustrated filmmaker, and I'm a not so frustrated comic book writer. There's always a bit of frustration going on there, but I love comics and I love film and I love I love music to an absurd point. I love all these things to an absurd point. I've written about all of them. In my time as a journalist, I've done so much music journalism. I've done so much film journalism and comics journalism. So I just thought, God, if I'm doing this comic, if I were making a film of murder ballads, obviously that would be an incredibly important thing. And I didn't want to do a comic that was just that had these teases of songs that you thought were it might have been good, but you just couldn't hear them. It felt like kind of a little bit of a cheat to do that. The problem when you do that is, especially if anything where people are talking about how good something that they're watching is, if you're watching a film and they're talking about, I saw this great movie, this movie we're big fans of, and they show a clip of that movie, and it's this is awful. There's always that problem that it works as a storyteller. It works really well to be talking about something that people can't witness themselves, so you can blow it up as much as you want.
Right.
So I figure if we're going to do this, if we had to do it, I had to get somebody who knew the world I was going to write about, and not only that, but who could also write some damn amazing songs. And I'm a very lucky man. In the fact that Dan is a good friend, and Dan is a very good musician who knows his shit backwards and forwards. So how do I to speak to your question, how I got the idea? I just thought, God, I don't know if this book would work without the music. All right, but hopefully it does.
Yeah.
Hopefully it does. Hopefully you could read it and like just even if like you got it at the library, you could like imagine these songs they're listening to and make versions of them in your brain, and like hopefully the story of the desire to succeed, the ambition, hopefully all that still tracks.
Right.
Yeah. It was awesome having it there, though, because that is a problem with in books when there's music and you see the lyrics, you can't always
Get the right melody
or know the song. So to be able to hear it was really awesome. Yeah, for sure.
Oh, well,
Definitely.
I'm glad then.
I felt like I was watching a movie. Sorry, Nate, but it did feel very movie-esque because I started one of the songs right as I began reading. I found it, and it was a really unique experience.
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. Well, Dan and his crew worked really hard on the music. I went up for the recording sessions in Nashville last October, and they just they worked their asses off. It was really just, I've been in the studio with him a couple of times, but it's really great to watch his creative process because he's got his own studio there in Nashville. He's got a crew of musicians who come in that session musicians that play with him, and God, it's amazing watching these pros just do their thing and start with like Dan would have a song, and they would just build it. Like Dan would say, "Let's do this, let's do that." They'd try stuff out, and they'd play, and they'd do it again, and it's just they'd eventually just kind of basically like a sculptor.
Sure.
Working a piece of clay, like oh, what are you going to do with that? Then they have a great eventually have a statue. Like, that's amazing. I couldn't have envisioned that, but they can, and so it's fascinating and really 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 cool.
Yeah, it's awesome. So I really liked the tie-in with your previous book, The Ballad of Franklin Bonesteel.
Thank you.
Is my guess it's included in this book as well at the end. I actually got it on Free Comic Book Day, also here out in Colorado. I dug it then, and like I say, like when I got to the third page or fourth page when they started talking about him, I was like, wait a second, oh, that's cool. And so just my question is this the beginning of the Gabe verse? Is there more to come? You got stories to go? Right?
From your lips to like, I do have more stories. Whether or not they will see the light of day, I don't know. But
Sure.
They are. I do have things in mind for more. They're up here.
Sure.
They're up here, and
yeah, I mean, I just got to say, like between the Ballad of Franklin Bonesteel and Murder Ballads, I'm just blown away by the uniqueness of the story. You know, walking into a comic book shop down here in Colorado, there's nothing else like this on the shelf. You know what I mean? And just really, really appreciate that. Definitely. The past few years or whatnot, Corey has kind of forced me back into comic books, which, you know, I really had fallen out of for almost 10 or 15 years. And I got to say, a lot of what I like about today's mainstream comics is more just the overall pop culture package, just the art and iconic characters and things like that. What I really enjoy reading more is stuff like I'm in the middle of Y: The Last Man right now, you know, or you know, something like this that is just unique, that is completely off the rails to that other stuff, and you know, is a new experience to me when I sit down with the book. So definitely appreciate it. Sorry, I'll stop gushing about you now.
Do go on. But yes, I hope that you will see some more stories like this from me in the near future. You know, so that's all I can really say. But it's like I said, cross your fingers.
So nice. Okay, well, I guess another question I had, just kind of from a comic book fanboy perspective, Nate mentioned you've been to the DC main offices or headquarters. Can you just give us some behind the scenes? What's it like? Meet anybody cool?
I've been to the DC offices in both New York and in Los Angeles, up in Burbank. It's an office. They have a Batman pinball machine in the main lobby of the DC building in California. It's just a bunch of people in cubicles and offices, like kind of working. I got lost. I got lost trying to find the bathroom once. But no, I mean, there's it's a great place, a lot of friendly folks. Let's see, what's anything interesting? Gosh, I mean, it's just a place.
Sure.
It's not boring. Yeah, it's a business. I mean, there's comic book memorabilia everywhere. It's stacks of graphic novels and comics everywhere, but there aren't people flying around or anything like that. There's just a lot of worried-looking editors with big cups of coffee on their desks. But it's nice. Just you'll be sitting in an office and just say hello to editors and such you read about. Hey, how's it going? That sort of thing. But it's I'm not jaded about it, but it's just it's just a place.
Sure.
Yeah. Sorry.
So
here's a needle for your balloon.
Dirk's final question is: What advice can you give to somebody who wants to get into the industry? Are there any resources that you can suggest?
Golly, I guess my main thing is online. Get your work out there online. Start a simple web page, do Tumblr comics, have stuff that people can see. That's what they want. A lot of it doesn't mean shit unless you have things to show people. And if you're a writer, make friends with an artist or artists, people that you would take a bullet for, because you depend on them. They don't necessarily depend on you. You depend on the artists, letterers, colorists to help you tell your story, get your story over the top. So be friends, first with these people. And then good friends make fantastic collaborators. A lot of people I've worked with, Dean, I always go back to Dean. Dean's a dude that I would just do anything for. And before we even did any comics together, we were good friends. And so, I don't know, just be cool, try to be on point, and find the others, find your people, and keep them close to you. I don't do a lot of the things that people have to do now to break into comics. I don't go to conventions very often. I don't do a lot of online stuff.
But you'd suggest that to somebody though.
I would suggest that now. I'm lucky that I have this history. I was able to do a lot of this stuff beforehand. But now, just go. And who's that screaming?
That's my son.
No, that's mine. But don't just do online. If you need to if you feel like making mini comics, make some mini comics. Make something you can hand to people at conventions. It's if you just want to, if you see a favorite artist or favorite writer, have a mini comic to give them if you're trying to break in. Just something that they can see. So maybe if you email them, they'll recognize you. It's I read that thing. Or maybe they'll ignore you because they don't want to hurt your feelings. The thing is, they got to know about you. Nobody in the comics industry is sitting around, just kind of, waiting to give somebody a break or anything. It's they're not they just, no one's gonna sit and reach out and I feel that you have some genius within you. Would you like to do that? So no, you gotta do the work. Have lots of pitches ready. Have tons of them ready. I have, if you could see my hard drive, it's like I have a folder of comics pitches. Like, it's got so much stuff.
Right.
Diversify, do more than one thing. A lot of writers I know do lettering as well. Like Vito Del Sante, another good friend of mine, he does a lot of lettering. Rachel Deering, she does lettering too. Joe Caramagna, he's like now writing the DuckTales. He writes the DuckTales comic along with other Marvel stuff, but he does lettering as well. I don't do lettering. I probably should.
Right.
But diversify. If my artist friends always tell me, "Gabe, just draw a comic. Just draw a comic." I'm like, just trying. I'll just work on you and get you to help me out to do it. But I get lucky that I often get very skilled artists to work on my stuff and to collaborate with. So, and comics collaboration, that's one thing too.
Right.
Like, no, unless you're doing it all yourself, you depend on other people so much. It's like, oh God. Like, so be cool, be nice.
Sure.
Don't be an asshole.
So, I was going back to the music side of this whole thing, and I don't know if I really love the fact that you broke up the story with the record, picture of the record with side A, side B. Was that intentional? I mean, did you intend it the whole time, or was that
that came during the process?
Okay.
That came during the process, and we had the idea, and there was a natural break in the story, and I don't know if it was me or if it was Sridhar, one of the publishers at Z2, that first came up with the idea of like breaking the story in half like that. But once we did, we're like,
right,
it's perfect. 'Cause I had written the in the book. There's a kind of I'm losing my words now. There's a prologue and an epilogue in the book. Yes, that's what they're called. That involves somebody starting and stopping a record. And I had written that before we came up with the idea to do it in two sides. But then when we came up with the idea to do the book in two sides like a record, it was like, this fits perfectly with that. So it was kind of like one of those things that happens sometimes when you do creative works. Like you didn't intend to make something happen the way it did, but once it happens, you're like, it was waiting for us the whole time.
Right.
And it was just like it felt kind of perfect.
Yeah,
So.
I thought I loved it when I saw it. I was like, this is. I don't know if a lot of kids today will even understand the meaning of side A, side B. I really don't. And I like that little touch. I was like, wow, this is great. Yeah. Now I'm gushing.
Come on, guys. Come on.
All right.
Trust me, we all love it. We all love it. We pretend like we're all bashful and stuff. It's like, no. The long hours we all sit writing this stuff, drawing this stuff. We like it. It's nice to get this.
Right. Totally,
Yes.
totally. Okay, well, thanks so much, Gabe. This has been awesome. I'd like to do it again with you sometime as well. Maybe even talk about your own stuff sometime when we're just doing regular comic stuff.
I would love to talk about other stuff because, like I said, I'll talk about this.
Sure.
I would love to talk about other comic book stuff nowadays. I was like, they're not even going to ask me this question or that question. Like, you can ask, like what am I reading right now or anything,
I know. For Comic Book Club.
Yeah,
What's
right. And so that's what Jeff was just saying. FYI for everybody who's watching right now, if you watch our show, we do Comic Book Club at the end of the show where we go through a book that we've recently read. We're going to do Murder Ballads next week. So everybody who's watching, go grab Murder Ballads, get it done, read it, listen to the soundtrack, and then we'll rock that for the Comic Book Club next week.
And buy it on hard copy. Don't buy it through Amazon. Just buy it on hard copy.
Yes.
Support local businesses and support your artists and writers.
Yes. And by the way, before I sign off, I did not shout out, which I need to, my collaborators on Murder Ballads, besides Dan and Robert, the core musicians. Paul Reinwin, the artist of Side A of Murder Ballads. Chris Hunt, the artist of Side B. Fred Stressing, who did the letters and did some coloring. Kendra Wells did a lot of coloring. Fred, who also did the lettering for Ballad of Franklin Bonesteel. Like, it takes a village,
Right?
and like that book, the Murder Ballads would not exist if any one of these people didn't come in and give it their all. So they rule.
Yeah, that's awesome. So obviously, we'll put everything in the description of this video. If you're looking for Murder Ballads, if you can't find it locally, if you live in a small town that doesn't have a comic shop or whatnot, we'll put some links down in the description for this video. I can't
Or you
recommend
can
it
move.
enough.
Yeah.
What's that? Or move?
Or
Yeah.
they can move to like Minnesota because it's not that bad.
Wait, okay, so Nate, you're in Denver,
I'm Colorado Springs.
Colorado Springs. You're in Minnesota,
Yep, St. Paul.
St. Paul. And where are you?
I'm in Michigan, Ypsilanti, by
wow.
Ann Arbor.
All right.
So-
And I'm in New Orleans. Wow, we are really kind of. It's pretty
All
amazing.
Well, that's another thing that's killing Dirk right now because he's in the comments saying, I live in New Orleans too.
He does?
Yeah, he does.
Well, yeah, tell him to come hang out with me one day.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's funny when you said "don't be an asshole" part. I think Dirk might struggle with that. Trying to break into the business. You know we love you, Dirk. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Thanks for coming again, Gabe. Thanks for everybody watching. Watch for Gabe's stuff. Look in our description to find out how to get it.
Well, thanks for having me, guys.
No problem.
YouTube shout-outs. We, as always, really appreciate all the support that the community gives us. We went up to 702 subscribers this week, so major milestone for us, crossing 700. Really, really appreciate that from everybody. Can't say enough how much we appreciate the support. I'd like to give a shout-out to all the new YouTubers that gave us a subscription this week, and what we do every week is give you guys a quick shout out and then link to your channel in the description to this show. So everybody else, if you're watching the show, please go down, click these people's channels, give them a subscription as well. They supported us. We want to throw that love back out there. So this week I got Barbarino's World, I got Bryson D, and Dragon 1.
Yep. I got Johnny L. Cook Jr. and Ender King Gaming.
And bringing up the rear, I have Trigger Nation and X Black Spider X.
All right, so yeah, thank you everybody. Thank you for subscribing. What do you guys think? Name of the week?
Name of the week. I definitely have to say Ender King Gaming.
Ender King Gaming.
Ender King
Badass.
Absolutely. Yep. Big. If you don't play Minecraft, big time Minecraft reference right there for sure.
Oh yeah.
All right, but yeah, thanks to everybody. Really appreciate it. Okay, so we're going to kick off the comic book club for this week's show, featuring The Walking Dead number 170. This is a full spoilers discussion. Before I get into it, next week's comic is Murder Ballads. I think we discussed that earlier when Gabe was on here, but everybody go read Murder Ballads before next week's episode so you can join in on the fun.
Yeah.
So, full spoilers. Walking Dead issue 170, 3, 2.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I thought it was good. I'm trying to remember how it started.
Michonne and Eugene's team on the road. Who are the two women that are with them? Do you know?
I couldn't tell you their names.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, are they? Did they do anything significant? Is there something that I should know them from before? Because I didn't recognize them.
Not that I know of.
Okay. All right. But they got the posse headed to Ohio.
Yeah.
Essentially, right?
Yep. Oh yeah, and then the walkers come in. Well, the lesbians, obviously, the lesbians getting it on.
Yep.
With
Eugene
Skid.
being a creeper once again. It's been a while since we've had a creeper Eugene moment.
Yeah. Yep. Creeping out. So, yeah, and then what is his name?
Sadiq?
Sadiq.
Yeah.
Sucking it.
Yes.
Being on watch.
Yes. Obviously.
He got attacked.
Right.
So, yeah. So.
Yeah, so we moved from there to basically Rick asking Jesus to watch Dwight, and them kind of going back and forth on whether is that really a concern or is it not. We don't know, sort of thing. Cut over to Maggie, headed back to the hilltop, being super distracted by a Mr. Negan.
Yeah.
Of course, as usual, Negan had a panel that stole the
Yeah.
show.
Still steals the show, yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Wish there were people around for that.
Yeah, exactly.
Or gotta save this for when people are around.
Yeah, for
yeah,
sure.
even though he's by himself.
Right,
Yeah.
can't help himself for just making awesome comments while taking down walkers.
Exactly. Yep. Totally awesome.
I wonder how long it is before he confronts the guy that's tailing him. Right, he's clearly better at surviving than everybody else, so he's got to know that he's got a tail.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
At that point, then we went back to Dwight doubling down on his insanity.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
So him having a conversation with one of the ladies that's in his crew.
Yeah.
And basically saying that he should be in charge still. And she's even trying to talk him out of it. And he's like,
Yeah. Yeah, she's asking him if you're serious. Don't you think you were too harsh? And he's like, I don't think went far enough or whatever.
Right. Right.
So
yeah. That's brewing. Rick comforts Mikey. Do you know who Mikey is? That was another one that I was... Lost his mom.
Yeah, his mom and dad.
Did he lose both? Like, I thought that it was maybe Dwight's wife's kid, or I didn't know. Did you know who that guy was?
Was he the one? I don't know. I didn't know for sure. Okay. I was thinking maybe he was the one that Rick killed his dad.
When?
I don't know. Maybe I'm getting him mixed up with the show.
Right. Okay, so clearly we're not sure who Mikey was.
But Rick was obviously talking to him and thinking of Andrea.
Right. Everybody in tears, cuddling each other. We lost some homies.
Yeah.
Maggie on the road back gets some help from the kingdom, hooking her up.
Yeah.
You know, cruising along. Negan then visits Lucille's grave.
Yeah.
Again. You know, says some kind words.
Yeah.
And let's see, what else is there? Jesus in Love.
Yeah.
He had a little touchy moment. The only problem is that he's considering ditching town.
Yeah. Even saying he doesn't think Dwight's a threat.
Right. Which clearly Dwight is.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And then so to me, the best part of this book was when Michonne, Eugene, and team hit what looks like Pittsburgh to me.
Yeah.
If I was going to make a guess, like it looks like the bridge that they cross in The Last of Us, you know, going into Pittsburgh. But anyways, a major city, and it's empty.
Yeah.
Right. Truly empty. So that was cool and eerie and everything else. You know, it up until this point, the cities have been.
Yeah. Last time we saw this city, it's not a place you wanted to be.
Right. Right. Exactly. So now it seems like with that in mind, you go loot some cities, right?
Yeah. It still seems like. That's what I was thinking. I don't see how it could be empty.
Right.
I mean, even if it's empty of walkers, it seems like a pretty good. There's a lot of safe places then for people to be, like maybe the skyscrapers and stuff.
They just don't know yet. Maybe.
Yeah.
You know. So.
Yeah, it can't be completely empty.
Right.
That would be weird.
Yeah. And then the big moment at the end where Sadiq confesses to Eugene that he was in a relationship with Rosita.
Yeah.
Right? So Eugene not looking very happy about it.
Yeah.
So yeah, Sadiq messed up many things on this road trip and needs to learn better timing.
Yeah.
Right? Time and place for that conversation, and didn't happen. So.
Yeah. For real.
So yeah, interesting. We're kind of in between plot lines for everybody.
Yeah.
Kind of, not a crazy one, but some good stuff I got going on.
Yeah.
Yep.
Move along.
Totally.
So.
All right. Well, everybody, that's been Comically Gaming, episode 65. Yeah. Really appreciate everybody watching. Have a great week.
Yeah.
Talk to you later.
Later.